Hello, I'm Anjali.
And I'm Ellie Kate.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Discovering History podcast, where we discuss important events from the perspective of two historians.
Today we will be talking about the Nuremberg trials, an intriguing topic that occurred after World War II.
During this time, defeated Nazi leaders were tried and imprisoned for their crimes. Today, we are taught that Adolf Hitler was a terrible man who sparked the Holocaust and started a cruel war across Europe, but he ended his life before he had to pay the consequences of his horrible choices. So how did the 45 million people who died in World War II get justice?
Even though Hitler wasn't alive to pay up for his infamous choices, the Nuremberg trials definitely gave at least a little bit of justice to the millions of lives lost. So here's where we'll start. Since the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, lost during the war, the countries of the Allied powers, the United Kingdom, China, the Soviet Union, and the United States, decided they'd team up once again with their own judges and legal teams to prosecute the defeated leaders of Nazi Germany for their crimes against peace and humanity during World War II.
Earlier, we discussed the world's discontent about Hitler not having to suffer for his actions, but there are plenty of other Nazi leaders that definitely paid for what they did. Think of our country's government today. We have a president, a vice president, a secretary, a senate, a House of Representatives, and so much more. So Hitler surely was not alone. After Japan surrendered to the Allied powers in September of 1945, the Nuremberg trials began. They lasted from November 20th of that year to October 1st of 1946.
During the trials, many of Hitler's once powerful men were finally being held accountable. There was Hermann Göring, head of the German Air Force, Rudolf Hess, a close advisor, and Martin Bormann, head of the Nazi Party Chancellery. Of the 19 defendants tried in Nuremberg, 12 were sentenced to death, 3 to life in prison, and 4 to prison terms ranging from 10 to 20 years. Hitler's organizations also got what they deserved. The Gestapo, the SS, the leadership corps of the Nazi Party, and the Reich Cabinet were all outlawed and declared criminal.
Thank goodness, but we haven't even gotten to the most vital part of this whole trial. The Holocaust was uncovered to the world.
Wait, so you mean that the rest of the planet was entirely unaware of what Hitler was doing to innocent people?
Not completely. His final solution of deporting Jewish people was a very public idea spread across Europe, but what was happening inside the concentration camps was pretty unknown to the outside world. Prosecutors locked Nazis down by collecting physical evidence of the malicious and premeditated annihilation towards the Jewish population. None of the defendants denied the Holocaust, they just deflected the blame. Documents were brought straight from the camps and the organizations Ellie Kate stated earlier, like the SS, Gestapo, and German Air Force. The documents were the perfect evidence against the Nazis.
The Einsatzgruppen reports literally affirmed the instructions the Nazi state had to follow, which was killing Jewish civilians. Another very, very important document was the Wannsee Conference Protocol. Inside this German document was the compliance of the men on trial to the mass murder of innocent Jewish people. These were physical copies of the final solution being agreed upon by these men. They even had blueprints of the gas chambers.
Shortly after the liberation of the camps, while Allied powers were first discovering what horrors had occurred there, they received photographic and filmed evidence. One specific video shown during the Nuremberg trials was the bulldozing of dead, starved, and broken bodies at Auschwitz. They needed a bulldozer to move all the bodies. It is so beyond terrible.
It really puts everything into perspective. It is infinitely more important that the history of the Holocaust and World War II was shared, rather than make some old guys take the responsibility.
The Nuremberg trials really helped open the eyes of the world to what was happening inside the walls of those camps.
The trials were the first in the world to unite multiple countries through law. The United Nations were also formed at the end of World War II in 1945. Thank you again for joining us on this episode of the Discovering History podcast.
We hope you enjoyed learning about the Nuremberg trials.